not even supposed to be here today. What is up, everybody? Station, pop, pop, boom. Welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. In specific, welcome to PCP Movie Night, the show where we gather and we talk about a movie. It's like a movie club, movie of the week. It's fun. It's like a book club, but better because it takes less time out of your week to just watch a movie. Anyway, we got a good one tonight. We're talking about Clerks, the 1994 debut from Kevin Smith, written and directed by Kevin Smith, starring Brian O'Halloran, Randall Graves. That's not his real name, but what's his? Anyway, starring some people: Jason Mewes, Kevin Smith himself. We'll get into it. I love this film, and we have a fantastic panel here lined up to discuss this film, including my homie Jelani. What is up, my man?
Ooh, Navy SEALs.
Ooh, Navy SEALs.
Yeah. What's up, man? Station everybody.
Oh, the Cowboys are so close right now. I'm watching the Cowboys game. Speaking of Cowboys, the only Cowboy I know that's authentically Cowboy is Steph. What is up, my man?
What up, fellas?
You mean howdy?
Yeehaw. Howdy.
Thank you for being here, Steph, man.
Oh, always
we were
a pleasure,
so impressed with you last time. We had to bring you back, right? You're doing the Lord's work. Speaking of doing the Lord's work, this might be Hammer Time Holeshoe's last appearance on the show because he's taken up the mission to go and spread the gospel of Crystal's drive-thru in South Africa. How you doing, Hammer Time Holeshoe?
I just feel that these countries don't have enough tiny cheeseburgers. And if I don't do it, who's going to do it? If you think about it, somebody's got to do it. I'm good. I'm good, gentlemen. I'm good.
Good. Speaking of good,
Respect.
It's always good when Mr. Joe Corralo's in the house. What is up, dude?
Much just having some coffee to perk up to talk about Clerks.
Nice. I like it. And speaking of perking up, the panel always perks up when we get Bodacious Brooks in the building. What is up, my man?
Hey,
You don't got a bit or nothing you want to do? Just
I did not.
Okay. All right. That's fine. All right. So I just want to talk about something real quick. About 7.5 years ago, we started this channel, Pop Culture Philosophers. We had podcasts before, the Smile or Else show. We turned that into Pop Culture Philosophers. We did YouTube, we did the podcast, and we started doing movie reviews, which are way different than what they are now. Like the movie review now is we all watch it, we all get together. We watch it separately, we get together and we discuss it for like an hour or so, right? Back in the day, we all would gather in the house, get shit-faced, watch a movie, and then try to film a video. So I want to go back in time, and everybody in the chat, thank you for being here. I want to go back in time, and let's revisit our second movie review we ever did, which is about Clerks. So I will say this. We didn't know what we were doing. Quality's going to be bad, but it's authentic. So let's go back and revisit this. Hey, everybody. PCP Movie Night tonight. We were watching Clerks. We got a 90s podcast coming up. Two of the motherfuckers that are going to be on this podcast, Hammer Time Holeshoe, he's a host, of course, and Jelani Bullard. So we watched Clerks tonight. We're going to talk about it real quick. Me, personally, I think it holds up. I think it's funny. Runs a little slow in parts, but let's talk to the gang. So, Hammer Time Holeshoe.
Love it. Holds up well. Hilarious. I really like Kevin Smith's writing. Kevin Smith was really influential on both of us when we were younger, as far as
Don't
films.
speak for me.
It's true, though. It's true. We may have both evolved from that, but it was very influential when we were younger. The movie holds up well. It's hilarious. Some of the acting is bad, but of course, there's a lot of it. They were friends in roles. So.
An incredibly indie film.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, the indiest of indie films.
Yeah.
We made it for like $14,000, I think.
I would say that the 90s are the era of the indie film, and we'll talk about that on the podcast. So, Jelani. What do you think about Clerks? Rewatching it.
Man,
21 years later.
it's a good movie. It holds up in places. There are a lot of sections where cigarettes are sold a lot more prominent, which is pretty good because that's what people get up and get cigarettes and coffee. So it's pretty decent. Little other altogether, I enjoyed it. So I'm not really big into the Kevin Smith world, starting with Clerks. I'm more like Mallrats. That's my favorite Kevin Smith movie. I don't know if it's for that. But Clerks holds up well. And the mythology really plays in to the other movies.
As we were watching this movie tonight, we kept mentioning
Just little things.
Yeah, little things like, oh, that's Alyssa Jones' sister. You know, Alyssa Jones from Chasing Angels. Oh, that's Rick Darris. Yeah. Oh, that's Willem. And then there's another Willem in Mallrats, but it's the Willem of Two Worlds. Like, that whole thing, John.
Yeah, well, he builds this Askew universe, this View Askew universe. He starts with that film and then builds from that. So obviously Clerks was his first film, successful. Miramax picks it up.
Yeah.
I still enjoy the film. I think it holds up well. It definitely has a lot of grain to it because of the way it was recorded, and it's still in black and white.
Not the best movie on Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's not the best movie. Maybe you don't need the Blu-ray, but there's a lot of content, and if you get the anniversary edition Blu-ray, which I recommend. It's one of his best films. I think Chasing Amy is his best film, but Clerks holds a special place in my heart.
All right, if you want to know more of our favorite 90s movies and music, comics, TV shows, anything 90s, check out the Pop Culture Philosophers podcast. Something just totally spitted out of my mouth. It spit it out. Anyway, I hope you enjoy it. We had a lot of fun rewatching Clerks. I think it has a lot of lessons for life today. Change your own life, because the power to change your life lies within. John, what do you think? Do you think Clerks tells you anything about life?
Oh yeah, exactly. If you want to move forward, you have to do it. You can't just be complacent. You have to make those changes. I think it has a good story, good moral.
What about you, Jillian?
Don't be lazy. Never be lazy. That's it.
Being lazy does nothing. All right, PCP Movie Night. Check out the 90s podcast coming up, Pop Culture Philosophers. Yay, yay! Okay, we're done. What the fuck was that?
That was awesome, bro. That was dope.
I've got the same haircut, and I still own that shirt.
I was much thinner. I see somebody said, that's young Slim Robbie. Looks like you got Mad P back in the day. Well, you know. Anyway, I like the beard Robbie though, but yeah, man, what a time, y'all! What a time to be alive back in the beginnings of PCP. Anyway, yay! What the fuck was that, man? I feel so embarrassed. All right, let's talk about this movie. I agree with what myself from 7.5 years ago. I think that I think it holds up. I think in that one I noticed I mentioned that it had some pace issues. It doesn't at all. It is tightly paced, actually, because it never loses my attention, no matter how many times I watch it, because it is an incredibly intelligently written film, but it's executed in a very profane and vulgar and crude kind of way. And I remember being a teenager watching this movie. We used to go and grab these things from the Blockbuster, from the movie gallery, from the video stores. If it was written and directed by the same person, I was trying to check it out. I was trying to get into every bit of indie cinema that I could. And when I watched Clerks for the first time, I was blown away. I was like, these people talk like us. They're smarter than us. They talk like way too smart. But at the same time, I always felt like me and my friends that we always had good, intelligent conversations, whether we were talking about real things like changing life and all that, or if we were just talking about Star Wars or some bullshit, right? So it was something that I related to, and it also made me inspired. I can go out there and make a movie. Now, I never really did that successfully, but we tried several attempts and we never really did anything with it. However, that do-it-yourself attitude, it's punk rock. It's something that I really, really like about those 90s indies films, and Clerks is it. Like, Kevin Smith went to film school, met Scott Mosier, sold his comic collection, made this movie for like 10, 14 grand or something like John was saying, and started a legacy that continues to this day. So I think it holds up. I really love it. It is still not the best movie to watch on Blu-ray, but you adjust to it because it's like, what is that? Like black and white 16 millimeter, right? So like it obviously has that grain, but it's part of the charm of the movie. Even though the performances they're not all highly sophisticated, trained actors. There's something inherently honest about a lot of these performances. And even though Randall is Jeff Anderson, that's his name, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Both Brian and Jeff are going to be at the expo in April, by the way. Yeah. Very excited to meet them. I like the film. I think it holds up. Still really good. Cracks me the fuck up. What about you, Jelani? What do you think about this film overall?
Well, I mean, I stand by it. Mallrats is still my favorite Kevin Smith movie. I like this movie a lot. It still holds up for me. It is one of those indie darlings that just in the 90s you saw and, forgot about for a little bit and then remembered it again. And for me, I watched it I've watched it probably 6 times now. This is probably the 6th time watching it. It holds up. It's not bad. I don't have any issues with it. I like the pacing. I like the storytelling you get. I don't mind the relationship problems and how whiny Dante is. Dante is so whiny. I don't get it for that part, but I love the fact that he's not even supposed to be here today. It's a big deal. He wants to make sure that, he wants to get to his game. He wants to do all these things, but he can't do it. And it's basically telling about his life as a pushover. He's basically a pushover who lets everyone walk all over him. He doesn't take initiative for his life. It's funny as crap. It still holds up with those characters, but it's centered around Dante. I think all the movies so far have been Dante centric, and it just tells his story and how his monotony and he and Randall's life of monotony of just working at a quick stop grocery and a video store. And it still holds up for me. It's still a great film. And of course, don't be lazy.
Don't be lazy. You'll get to that too, right? And yes, road collecting. It took us a couple years till we realized we needed chairs. So, yeah.
We need among other things.
That was literally like these guys remember it too, right?
We were standing up before, like beside each other.
Yeah, and I was just like, no, we're gonna watch the movie, we're gonna drink, and we're just gonna go film this fucking video, and it's gonna be fucking wild and sporadic. Yeah. I'm gonna make everybody dizzy as fuck as I fucking move my camera around like this. It's wild, man. Those wild times, man. Thank you for those thoughts, Jelani. Absolutely. Steph, my man, what do you think about Clerks overall?
I enjoy Clerks. Like you guys have been saying, I think it still holds up. And with Jelani, I don't personally find it to be his best work. I kind of enjoy Mallrats a little bit better. Like Dante and the main character from Mallrats kind of have like the same trajectory. Like they're just kind of complacent, lazy, and they kind of need like a smack and a wake up call. I think Mallrats does that a little bit better. But this film, I enjoy it though because it's kind of like just a day in the life. Like it's a slice of life tale. People talk about real things, and the acting, of course, is not the best, but I think that adds to its realness, its authenticity of being like a slice of life tale. So overall, I enjoy it, and I agree with you guys. I think it holds up very well, and I appreciate what it did for like film. It showed that you don't really need a major studio to back you immediately. If you really want to do it, you can get out there and make it happen. Like it is possible. So I respect it for that.
We didn't have, we weren't in the days of the internet really yet, right?
Right.
But we were in these magical days where people were making movies on shoestring budgets that were very personal, that were very groundbreaking in certain aspects of them, right? And then they would be able to go to these film festivals like Sundance. This was the era of Sundance, and these movies would get picked up and the word would spread, and then you'd want to see them. This is the days of Richard Linklater and Robert Rodriguez and Quentin Tarantino and Kevin Smith, and it's what Miramax built its brand on,
Facts.
And then eventually they wound up doing things like Shakespeare in Love and winning Academy Awards, and we don't want to go too far down the history of Miramax because we want that territory, but it does have that do-it-yourself kind of vibe to it. And Kevin Smith himself, it was Slacker by Richard Linklater that made him realize he could do that. Because Slacker's a very important film. And like we always talk about Pulp Fiction and Reservoir Dogs. We talk about Clerks. We talk about, El Mariachi. We talk about these indie films that were very important at this time. But Slacker is incredibly important, and I don't necessarily like Slacker that much. Maybe that's one we should revisit sometime because I've only seen that a couple times. Hammer Time Holshoe, you're a big Kevin Smith fan, and I know that you will be here every time we do a Kevin Smith movie. What do you think about Clerks overall?
I love it, man. I think it holds up well. I think it's great. Now, I should point out that I had some friends that smoked this Mary Jane, should you say, and they introduced me to Mallrats, and I'm like, this movie is fucking awesome. And of course, it had a Weezer song, so that was icing on the cake, right? And they're like, this is the Clerks guy. I'm like, who? So then I watched Clerks afterwards, because I didn't know who Jay and Silent Bob were. I didn't understand the references.
The bits.
And so I went and watched Clerks. So I felt I kind of went the backwards way, but I immediately watched Clerks after that. I'm like, holy shit, I love Clerks. I like Clerks more than Mallrats. Don't get me wrong, I like Mallrats. But I like the writing. I like the way it's everything about it, the way it's done. And yeah, it's a shoestring budget. And we did talk about the Blu-ray and that it still got a lot of grain. It was shot in black and white, and there's only so much you can do with what they had to bring that to Blu-ray. But I think it holds up incredibly well. I enjoy it, man. I think the cast is great, and it's there. We did talk about some of the on the old one. Some of the acting isn't so great, with most of his friends, and some were better actors than others. But the main characters are phenomenal. Look at Dante and Randall. Those people weren't actors before that. Holy shit, they do a great job.
Yeah.
So
Randall does a great job when it's not obvious that he's like reading from the fucking newspaper that he's holding in front of him.
Yeah, he had a lot of words. You know what I'm saying? I'm sure there's things he had to write some stuff down because.
And apparently Kevin was a stickler and still is about keep to the letter of the screenplay.
Yeah,
right?
He doesn't like the people going off the script a little bit.
Back then, I don't think he did because I think he thought his dialogue was really good in that movie.
Oh yeah, it's phenomenal. I love it. I love the film. I think it holds up. And if you don't have it on Blu-ray, man, give it on Blu-ray. Give it a rewatch. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. And it's not that expensive to pick up on Blu.
Yeah, for sure. Definitely worth it. Not that expensive. Represents also Joe Corallo. Joe, what do you think about Clerks?
Yeah, I'll take a slightly different direction, I guess. I think it's one of those films that in a vacuum, if you just treated it like any other movie without any context, you just dropped it on someone in 2023 or something, it's all right. But considering the context, considering when it came out, considering how gigantic of an impact it had, I mean, you could talk about, directors like Richard Linklater and all of that, and movies like Slacker, but they never broke out like Clerks broke out. It is very rare for a movie with that low of a budget to start a franchise. And by saying very rare, it's almost impossible. Kevin Smith and Clerks, the movie, is more the exception that proves the rule than anything else. I think the impact it had on pop culture, it's almost a victim of its own success. The Star Wars references in movies and pop culture, referencing, things like that. Really being ahead of its time in that. I think there are a handful of examples of things that happened like that in movies beforehand, but never to this extent, never with the kind of, overall just sea change it caused in pop culture. I don't think you get South Park. You don't get There's Something About Mary and the rise of these like gross out humor movies that came later in the 90s, well after Clerks' success. I think it impacted movies and television, multiple angles of comedy. Like there's for $27,000.
Yeah,
that's absolutely insane. Absolutely insane. There's no, you can't, like, very little has ever happened to come close to that. And the amount of people you talk to in their 30s and 40s who learned that you could make a movie with a low budget from Clerks is through the roof. I mean, even in like high school, I did a couple of short films for like class and different presentations. I did luckily it's all, vanish into the ether.
And, no, don't say that. I was wanting to watch this, Joe.
There's I did a video parody of Dr. Philip Zimbardo, where I played Dr. Philip Zimbardo. And people can look that up if you don't know him. He did that whole like experiment about, like if you put people like prisoners and guards, and you assign those roles
Switch the powers.
Yeah, that they over time just take on those roles, even though they're not actually like prison guards and prisoners and stuff like that. So I did a parody of that. So I was a real delight in high school, is where this is going. Like Joe's really hitting on the topical issues, like Dr. Phillips and Bardo experiments. But yeah, so yeah, the impact is profound on so many people, on pop culture. It's a testament to Clerks' success that a lot of its impact doesn't even register, because so many things are like, well, this happened and this, and you're so far removed from it, that it's, like, here we are in a world that was fundamentally changed by some schlubby 23-year-old from New Jersey for $27,000. Like, that's unreal.
And then there's the post budget is $230,000, which a lot of that goes to the Alice in Chain song and the Soul Asylum song, right? Like they really beefed up the soundtrack. The soundtrack's amazing. We'll be talking about that. It did box office wise make $4.4 million, which seems like, well, that's what an indie movie costs in 1994 is, $4.4 million, but it made a lot of money, and it was a huge hit, man.
Yes, the percentage of the box office there, the profit to budget, is going to be higher than, Avatar: The Way of Water.
Yes. Yeah, but it's about to hit 2 billion, so that's fine. Speaking of 2 billion, this is 2 billion. Brooks in the house. You weren't there for some reason 7.5 years ago when we did our Clerks review. I wonder why that was. Probably a mistake on your part, but you're here tonight, Brooks. What do you think about the film?
Clerks, in my opinion, I think it's Kevin Smith's best film. Like, to me, Kevin Smith is kind of like Metallica, and like the further you go back into his career, like the better his stuff gets. It's like it's kind of got that. It's more raw, It feels like a lot like how old Metallica songs are more raw. Like it's less slick, less produced, but
You're saying it's Kevin Smith's Kill 'Em All is what you're saying here.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But yeah, and I was not familiar with Kevin Smith until I met Robbie, like back in 2000 and was it 2000, 2001, somewhere around there.
Yeah, exactly.
And you were like I remember back then you were big into Kevin Smith, and so we ended up watching all the Kevin Smith movies together up to that point, which I think Dogma had been his latest.
Yeah, Dogma had just come out. Yeah.
Yeah, and I always thought this Clerks was my personal favorite out of them. There's just something about it that it makes me laugh a lot more than like a lot of his other comedies, because it's it feels like he's just he's just saying whatever he wants to in this one. There's no expectations. There's no studio looking over his shoulder. It's like it feels like he's making the movie he wants to make, and I guess it turned out pretty good, I would say.
Yeah, he had the opposite experience when you run, Dak, you run. Sorry, first down. So anyway, he had the opposite experience with Mallrats, where he went up against a lot of studio interference on that one, and we already unpacked Mallrats last year. It won the one of the audience choice polls. And Joe was there for that, and I believe John was there, and Brooks was there, right? Y'all were there for that.
Yeah. I remember being. That was fun.
That was a good, fun show. So after this one, if you're not completely tired of PCP Movie Night, you can go back and rewatch that one. But a movie is not good without a cast, and this movie has a good cast. It's got great characters, but it's actually got a good cast. Jelani dipped out somehow. Hopefully he'll come back, but I'm going to be nice because I've been hogging this for the last few weeks, y'all. I'm going to let y'all go first because there's so many great characters, so many great performances. Steph, what's your favorite performance? What's one that you want to highlight?
I'm going to highlight my man, Randall. I can always appreciate an endearing asshole. Like he fucked up a lot, but he always meant well. And I think everyone's kind of got like a friend like that. He kind of, he's like the prototype for Stifler in a sense. Just someone who's very obnoxious and just doesn't say the right things at the right time ever. But he means well. You know, he means well. Like he's not a malicious dude. I think he played that role really well.
Inside of himself sometimes.
Right. Well, exactly. But yeah, I think Randall was very good. I enjoyed him.
Randall's your pick. Why did I have to like go so ass backwards to get everybody back in the right order? All right, so Jeff Anderson is Randall. Like you're right though. I mean, he does deliver very well. There are moments where it's obvious that he's reading his lines.
Yeah.
And in the commentary, they mentioned that he got nervous for a few nights, and that's that. And by the way, if anybody doesn't know, Kevin Smith worked at that video store and that convenience store, and they filmed that at night. That's why the shutters have to be closed because they filmed at night. So they had to close those shutters, and a lot of the bits in there. And that's what I love about this is it's a movie that
it's quaint.
When you make a movie like this, you run into these problems. Oh, we can't do that. That makes you think things through, and you get that whole shoe polish bit that runs all the way through the movie because they needed to block out the idea that this is supposed to take place during the day. By the way, the timeline in this movie, if you actually pay attention, when they say what happened when, it's way the fuck off. It is so way the fuck off. It makes no goddamn sense. Jelani, what's a performance you want to highlight, my man?
Yeah, well, about that timeline, the funeral, like it was still the daytime. It was like 4:00 or something. And then they got like back to the store and it's pitch black. So yeah, it's weird stuff like that. The character I want to highlight, this is hard because like I like a lot of characters in this movie, so I guess I'll go with. I'm gonna go with the guy from the bathroom.
You said you got the rough stuff.
Yep.
I got bigger titties in there.
You got bigger titties in there. Yeah.
That's another other one.
That was great. That guy was just an utter pervert and like a quiet pervert, and that just quietly died on the toilet, and had Caitlin Bree like sit on him. It's just a weird.
Not many people get lucky after they pass.
To have, and like after years, I usually just pick Randall too, but so Steph took that, but I really want to pick that guy because he's an unsung hero. Yeah, shout out to that dog. Rest in peace, brother.
The Cowboys have missed all 3 extra fucking points, by the way, which I don't understand, but we're up 18-0 on the Bucks right now, so fuck yeah. Why did they call
Go Tom Brady or something? I don't know. I'm not going to but
he's missed 3 goddamn extra points. You never see that. What is that?
Yeah, you never see that.
Sorry. Sorry.
No, it's a great character. I'm not going to take any major ones from everybody, but I would say, like, I keep forgetting her name, the girlfriend.
Veronica?
The Veronica.
Yeah.
I'll take her too. Why not? I'll take Veronica too.
Why don't you take every character?
I will.
All right, we're cutting you off. All right. Veronica's good, though. She's actually a good actress, I think. So, okay.
I like her.
What's good about the dude who dies in the bathroom is that bit gets set up, and his performance is so memorable that when it comes back up, you're instantaneously
like, oh yeah.
It's hard to it's hard to replicate the first time you watch this movie and that moment happens and Caitlin Bree realizes what just fucking happened. And she's like, I didn't just fuck myself, did I? But like that movie is the way it's done and delivered in particular, the way that's structured, that bit in particular, it does almost feel like it's the first time. Like you're watching that reaction. Like it's so good. It's so
every time.
It's so fucking good.
It's great.
Hammer time.
It makes me wonder how long has this dude been sitting in his bathroom? Because like all kinds of shit happens after that scene. Like they go to the funeral home.
Didn't they go to play hockey after that?
He was locked in the store during that. Was he just sitting in the bathroom the whole time?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, he was dead the whole time.
Dead the whole time. Remember, they didn't allow customers to use it, so only Dante or Randall would have used it.
Would even know about.
Yes, Dante doesn't. That's kind of a flaw in this film. We know Dante as a person, as a character. He definitely has to go to the bathroom like 4 times or 8 times.
He seems like a guy that would do that. Yeah.
But we've been there too, where you have to man everything. You can't close up and go to the bathroom. You can go close up and play hockey. Anyway, Hammer time. What's performance you want to highlight?
Man, I'll probably go with Dante. I hate to be a dick and take Dante, but Dante. I mean, he's the main character. I always thought his character was Kevin Smith's character, but when I read that he said no, he based Randall on himself. I'm like, oh, okay. So because he's the main character, and he does grow in the film. I think you were talking about like some of the bad acting, and some's worse than others. But I think Brian O'Halloran does a fantastic job for being for it being his first film. I think he does a great job, and he's a likable guy too. You know what I'm saying? He's not a dick. Like I love Randall's probably my favorite character in the movie, but Randall's a dick.
Yeah, he is.
He's Dante's only real issue. He's really indecisive, and obviously he's still hung up on Caitlin, but he's sort of I don't know, you sort of like, I don't know, he could be you kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh, I understand this character, and I think he does a good job, and he's a nice guy, other than he does get walked over a lot or stepped on, but a lot of it is a lot of his issues are self-inflicted. And I do like the fact that Randall, and whether they're friends just because they work next to each other, if they're real friends or not, you know what I'm saying? Are they just coworkers? Randall does help push them in the right direction, even if it's not the best way to do it. But I really like Brian. Yeah, I like Brian O'Halloran's as an actor, and I really like him as Dante.
Hell yeah. I agree 100%. What about you, Joe? Who you got?
For this, I'm going to go with Scott Moser. The fact that he played
Snowball.
The fact that it was like Snowball and the angry hockey player, like when he shaved and stuff like that, like it took me forever to realize those two were the same people. Like
I love the bit.
He played you got the repressed anger, motherfucker. You played that guy?
Yeah.
No, he played the guy who's trying to get a pack of smokes while they're playing the game. And he's like, oh, you suck. Like, that guy.
I'll get up and play the game. Hits the ball. Yeah.
Like Walt Flanagan was probably the first of the recurring character, like people that played multiple characters, where I was like, he was counting those eggs, and then he got offended with the magazine, and then you find out he played 3-4 other people in the background. But that one, I was genuinely like, oh wow, like I did not realize they were the same person. And he edited the movie, like, goddamn.
Oh wow. Yeah.
That's pretty impressive. So I'm going with him.
Yeah, and Willem's a great character, and then the other, and two completely different characters. But that's beautiful, man. Thank you for sharing, Joe. What about you, Brooks? What's the character you want to highlight?
I'd probably go with Jason Mewes as Jay. He's not in the movie a whole lot, but his scenes are like super memorable. Like it's easy to see why Kevin Smith decided to run with the whole Jay and Silent Bob thing, because like in this movie he's like just such his crazy character. Like I love his little rant in the beginning when he's like, he goes on like, I'll fuck this chick, I'll fuck that chick, I'll fuck anything that moves. The dude is he's kind of like this paragon of like insecurity masked in like, kind of overcompensating, trying to make himself seem like, he's more than he is. Like, but and I think my favorite part with him though is when he's like, ordering these tacos. Yeah, my grandma used to say, I fucked up. And he just kind of like, it's like, it didn't matter anyway.
He actually fucked up the line. And then like did it. So he's like, what's a good plate with, wait, I fucked that up. What's a good plate with nothing on it? Or something like that.
Yeah.
And they kept it in. Yeah.
But that's actually, that's a good metaphor. I got where he was going for that. There's actually a message behind that.
Absolutely.
Great philosopher, actually, Jay is.
Yeah, he is. Because Silent Bob is his friend. You know what I'm saying? Silent Bob's the philosopher of the films. For me, I'll go Caitlin Bree. I really like Caitlin. I think that the actor who plays her, I can't remember her name, but I think she does a really good job. Is that Lisa Schoonauer? I think that's who that is.
Yeah, that's who played Caitlin.
Yeah, because she comes back, and they say that she comes back in the Clerks animated series.
She passed away. She passed away from like real life.
The breed chick's making out with everybody's name starts with a J.
Yeah, no kidding.
She passed away.
Yeah, she did. That sucks. Now, I really like her. She's able to deliver that line and play that like playful, flirty kind of thing with Dante, and make it actually kind of make sense. Because one of my things is like, why is this dude the dude the two women are after right now? It's like, it's a little like, that's unbelievable, man. He tucks his fucking pants into his boots, man. Like, I just don't know about people that dress like that. But it was
does that too.
New Jersey. Maybe Joe knows something about 1994 New Jersey. I don't know, but I guess that's just how it was. But I also want to give a big shout out to Olaf, because Olaf is awesome. He commits to the fucking bit and really knows what he's doing. Did he just say making fuck? The style of the film's actually cool. The black and white was not a stylistic choice. It was a choice of necessity to keep the cost down low. That film print, that film stock cost less or something. It's not expertly shot. Kevin Smith is not a good visual director and visual storyteller, but there is something about the screenplay and just the mundane nature in which it's filmed that I think highlights it. A lot of comedy, you got to have space for that room to breathe. It's like an action movie where you want a wide angle, you want to be able to see everything. With comedy, you want the same thing. You want to see the reaction of the straight man. You want to see the reaction of the comedic one, right? You want to see that. You want to see these characters interacting, and you get a lot of nice vibe and flow through the dialogue, even through the cinematography, which is not the best, but for what they were doing, first-time filmmakers, if we made a movie at 23, it would have sucked. You know what I'm saying? And so there's a lot of talent, raw talent, that somehow got through in this movie, and I think stayed with Kevin for at least 4 movies. And then I don't think he's ever been the most visual director, but I like the stark black and white contrast in this film. I love the screenplay. I love the dialogue. I love breaking it up into different segments. I remember like looking up those fucking words. Even on this rewatch, I'm looking up some of these words because I forgot what they fucking meant. But I love how nowadays I know what most of the words mean. So, but when I first watched this film, I was like, what's syntax mean? I had no fucking clue. And the more you watch this film, the more you understand how it kind of relates. I think the style of the film is top notch, and I think the structure of it is really solid. What do you think, Jelani, about the style and structure of this film, technically speaking?
Yeah, for a movie to be shot in black and white and that flat, like, just flat shots, A, B person, stand here, do something, hold camera for a period of time, hold angle upward. I mean, even with that, it still plays out well because it's a good enough script and a good enough story for what you're trying to get across. It's a great comedy, a good buddy film. It's just two buddies hanging out at their job, living a simple, just a slice of life. And this is a day in the life of these two guys. And it's played so well. It's not just these two characters. It's the people in New Jersey that are around them, all the ones that want cigarettes or Chuli's gum. It's just all these people, all these different personalities come together, and it's life. It's just life. And some of the stuff would probably never happen in a single day. I'm pretty sure a lot of the stuff could happen, over time. I really think most of this stuff could happen over time. So, hey, you could screw a guy in the bathroom, a dead guy in the bathroom, and never know it, until it's too late.
Look, my mom's been screwing a dead guy for 20 years. I call him Dad.
Dad. But it's such a funny movie and you kind of look past a lot of those things because of it. It's a very forgiving film. And that's why it's a cult classic. It's the kids would never talk that way. 22-year-olds would never talk this way.
We think we do, though. We think
we're this intelligent, but not at all. Can't even form sentences.
Instead, we're just like, yay.
Yeah. But that's it. But yeah, altogether, I like it. It's paced very well. it's not shot the best, but like I said, it's a very forgiving film. It does that. It does that for you.
Hell yeah. Speaking of very forgiving, Steph is a very forgiving individual. Steph, what do you think about the style and structure of this film? And I got to let the cat out. So,
gotcha. I like the style. I think it works for what the movie is, like the slice of life tell, like the flat shots you were talking about, Jelena. I think that kind of adds to the intimacy of
the charm
what it's going for. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Structure, I don't think it's the best. I like the script, the dialogue, but I think that it reminds me of like a Brian Michael Bendis comic, which just he would have like devote an entire issue to two people talking or just panels of heads talking. Doesn't make it bad, but I don't really see the structure when it's just kind of went from one conversation to the next, and it doesn't make it bad, but I could have used some fine tuning, in my opinion. But I enjoyed it for the most part.
Okay, good deal. That sounds good. So speaking of that, why don't we just go to Hammer Time Holshoe and see how he feels about it?
Like that transition.
I like the story and the structure, and I think it works. I think for it being his first film, I think it's done really well. I think it was done really smartly. I do like in the Clerks animated series, they do the one episode where they do the different chapters or whatever, and he's like Frasier stole this device or whatever. He does the thing, and which, by the way, don't sleep on the Clerks animated show because it's fucking hilarious. The amount of humor packed in those few episodes is phenomenal. Just the writing. Anyway, the original movie, I like how it's done. I mean, I think it's done well. Again, for it being his first film, I'm really impressed for the cinematography, for everything. Is it perfect? No, but it'd be far better than my first film. You know what I'm saying? Of course, we've also come a long ways in be able to make films at home with iPhones and shit. But at the time, you know what I'm saying, it was shot and film and everything. It's pretty impressive, and I think it's done well from start to finish.
Nice. What about you, Joe? What do you think?
No, it's really interesting because it sounds like, Robbie, you also recently watched the documentary Snowball Effect, that movie. So I'll also throw in some stuff. Like when you're going into this knowing that he originally wrote this as more of like a David Lynch Twin Peaks kind of thing. That's like, what's the weird stuff that's going to happen at like a convenience store from midnight to 5 a.m. Like what kind of weirdos would come into the shop? Like knowing that and seeing how many of the scenes are basically vignettes like that, but are skewed more for comedy than sort of absurdist humor. I think the pieces come together like, okay, yeah, I know that makes sense. I think he achieved what he was going for, because I think the intent was, let's do these vignettes, but it's all going to revolve around Dante and these other people in his life. And
of course, the original ending, Dante gets killed. At the
very end.
Yeah, no, I made sure to watch that. I also made sure to watch the animated version of what happened in the funeral home and stuff like that.
Brooks was asking me, he's like, is it required that we watch that scene? I was like, you can do whatever you want, man.
Yeah,
I did.
It wasn't that long, so I was like, sure, I'll watch it. But I actually was able to watch it in the movie, like stop, watch that, and continue the movie from there. So that's how I went about it. But
nice.
took the extra mile for this, because I take PCP movie night very serious. So but no, I think it works like that. It's interesting because I don't think even the sequels to Clerks abandoned this structure entirely. I don't think he's ever gone back to this structure. And it's kind of a shame, because I think the structure kind of works for him. I'm not saying you should do that for every movie. Definitely not. But it would be nice to see him do like another movie with this kind of structure. Like he can do one more like that. And
yeah, it'd been nice to see Clerks 2 done like that.
Yeah.
Yes. And Clerks 3, or Clerks 2 done like that, and Clerks 3 never happened or something. Like,
it's like the Blade, like 3 movie, the third Blade movie never.
I keep hearing this.
They never made a third Blade movie. They talked about it.
Can you imagine if they made one and it had like Triple H and Parker Posey? That would be badass.
Perfect cast for Dracula. You guys ever seen Prison Break?
Right? Yeah, no shit, man. Heat Wave should be fucking Dracula. Brooks, what do you think about the style structure of this film?
I like the style. I think the black and white actually works in this movie's favor in a lot of ways, because in the end, this movie is about like a very mundane day. Like, a dude. It's just a dude going to work. Even though like the characters surrounding him are very colorful and like vibrant, but like the whole situation, I think the stark black and whiteness kind of it lends that air of like, this guy's like in a place he doesn't want to be. Like, this is like his life. It's like it's a very dull, very like colorless, lifeless kind of environment that he's just kind of forced to deal with, and that's what I think a lot of our workplaces back then, especially like if you had like a when you're a young man, and you have to go to your job to work so you can like pay your bills and have money to go out and enjoy yourself too. But it's like you feel like it's time to get to get to the grind.
I worked at a comic shop, so I get a little bit of that, but not a lot.
Like some of our jobs are worse than others, but in a way, it all is varying degrees of that kind of thing. Like, I need to go into work and, earn my keep. And,
right.
And I think like the idea that it's supposed to be his day off as well.
Yeah.
So it's like his whole day is like just immediately just like, and throughout the movie, like he's expecting to get off at noon at first. And then he finds out, dude is gone. And then like later on, like he's like, oh yeah, so he ends up having to work the whole day. So he works the store on his day off from opening to close.
I'd be mad as hell.
Vermont? That's you didn't say anything to me. What the hell?
That would have pissed me off.
No, I'd have quit.
I've had plenty of these shitty jobs that there's an element of it that you like because you get to fuck off and just make fun of customers. Yeah. There's an element of it that's just mundane and monotonous and sucks. But like me and Jelani really relate to the video store aspect of this movie, right? Like we worked at we worked at the fucking movie stop, and God,
you never want to watch anything good. You just want to watch the most mundane crap.
Yeah, best of both worlds.
My God. When I was in Hollywood Video, like one of the movies that people like kept renting for a while was like Before Sunrise.
Yeah, the Linklater film.
Richly, yeah.
But like it was just like one of those things where like people would like keep like word got around that like or something where people were just like you have Before Sunrise. Like we would rent out of it a lot. And I mean, I'm talking about this happening in between like 2003 and 2007.
Oh wow.
Wow.
Yeah. Like Before Sun, but it was just, that's why it was like, what's going on? Like
they did a sequel to that, right?
Before they did 3 of them.
Yeah.
They did a third one.
Wow.
Yeah. 3 of them. Yeah.
Oh, there's a third one?
Before Midnight, right?
Yeah.
Is that the other one? Something like that?
They're like 3 of them.
Yeah.
I really like that film. Do you like that film?
Yeah, it's good. It's just one of those things where it was just like bizarre that like that was, we would make fun of the customers in the sense of like that was their idea of like an underground indie film, and like anything like more subversive than that would be like whoa I'm
right,
like that kind of thing. Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, so music. This music in the movie is there's not really a score at all. There are a couple little stock bits here and there, but this is soundtrack driven, right? And I love the soundtrack to Clerks. I remember I owned this on CD. I owned this and Mallrats, the soundtracks. And what I loved about the CD was it had clips from the movie, so that you'd have some audio dialogue, and then you would get into the song. And I know that there's a lot of people that will have favorites, so I don't want to hog everything. But I will say that, first of all, I really love the opening theme, which is it's called Clerks by Love Among Freaks, but it's like the whole so save up all your nickels and dimes. Just see what you find, and it encapsulates the fucking movie to me, and I really love it, and I loved listening to that. And the other one I want to highlight is Alice in Chains. Got Me Wrong. That's one of my favorite fucking Alice in Chains songs, and it's the introduction of Randall, and just the way it happens. Randall, dun dun. Dun, 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 dun. I don't know. I just absolutely love it. A brilliant soundtrack, in my opinion. What do you think about the music, Cellini?
I don't know any of these songs' names. I don't know none of these people. I do enjoy the music though. It's very enjoyable. It's that fare that you get into. I mean, it's rock. It's metal. It's very. It is placed where it needs to be. That's all I can say about the music. I mean, it's there, and
right.
I didn't really pay too much attention to it, but like I don't know none of these songs.
One thing about the movie that we haven't really mentioned yet is it does encapsulate that Generation X 90s vibe.
Yeah, it does. It has that slacker,
and the music shows that as well. Yeah, the music accentuates that as well. Yeah, you could call it grunge, that Generation X like malaise. That was going on, right? And there were a lot of movies that kind of like Slacker, but like Joe said, Slacker didn't hit like Clerks did. This Clerks hit because it captured that.
Yeah.
Like the way that Linklater's Dazed and Confused captured a vibe from the 70s, or Fast Times at Ridgemont High captures it from the 80s. Clerks does that for the 90s.
It really does.
And the music shows that. What do you think about the music, Steph?
I'm right there with Cellini. I don't know too many names of the songs, but I think they worked for the film. They just, and like you said, encapsulated the vibe, the grunge, the rawness of what Smith was trying to do. So it worked for what he was trying to do. I enjoyed it. And
also little fun bits in there, like when they're talking about Star Wars, they're doing that whole thing. The song is playing the Chewbacca song. Chewbacca, whoa, what a Wookiee.
Yeah.
And then they actually have the Berserker song in there too.
Yeah.
It's actually which I fucking love.
The actual Berserker song. I loved it. Yeah.
Love it. Speaking of Berserker, Hammer Time Whole Shoe. Go do Berserker. Ladies, wait, fuck. I forgot. Fuck.
God damn it. I often do that coming to the shop, by the way. There goes John. He's a Berserker.
Yeah, but, you used to do that all the time at the movie theater. I remember that.
Yeah. And I love the soundtrack. Obviously, I have no comparison to the soundtrack before it got these licensed songs, but fucking Soul Asylum, Alice in Chains, it's a really phenomenal soundtrack, and it's done in a way that I don't know. I can't imagine it without those songs. You know what I'm saying? And I know a lot of the budget went to the wide release and the soundtrack, but that's fine because it made me. I like Alice in Chains before that, but I wasn't a diehard fan. It made me a big Alice in Chains fan.
The Soul Asylum song, they had a video attached to this movie. So.
Oh yeah, fucking Soul Asylum's great, man, and the soundtrack's phenomenal. I love the soundtrack. That's one of those CDs that I could listen to. Now, if you buy the actual soundtrack, I think half it is like them talking, obviously, but the songs themselves, man, it's got a great soundtrack. I'd say until you get to Mallrats, and that's got Weezer in it, and that's his best soundtrack.
I don't know, man. Chasing Amy's got some good music in it.
Chasing Amy's I will give Kevin Smith props across the board. Good soundtrack.
Yeah,
he's got an ear for good songs, man. And it's not just good music; it's music I like. I'm like, wow, maybe because with him, I was starting to date myself. I was gonna say he's not that much older than me, but we'll leave it there. He does have a great taste in music. That's my opinion.
Hell yeah. What about you, Joe? What do you think about the music in the film?
Oh yeah, no, it's funny because in a way, I think for me, for a lot of people, the soundtrack is a key component to the success of the movie, and it wasn't there when people first saw it and were first loving this movie. So
yeah,
so I always think that's really interesting. But yeah, I mean, I'll also mention Stabbing Westward.
That's the jam song about dancing, man. Oh, I love that.
I was a big fan of Stabbing West. I listened to my CD of Darkest Days until like it just skipped all the time. Like it was like an unlistenable. I
you
love
were still
that.
trying, weren't you? Like, let me just fast forward a little bit and see what happens.
And like, yeah, oh yeah, no, all the time. You know, you don't give up on CD. You're like, come on, I gotta get this. But
I still got CDs in my car like that. Yeah,
it's great. And I was able to see Stabbing Westward in concert a few years ago. I thought it was never going to happen because they broke up around that time. You know, by like the early 2000s, that was it. And I thought it would never happen. And I got to see them, and they were mostly playing Darkest Days and stuff like that. So that was a lot of fun. I think they played the whole album in order and like some other songs when I saw them. But yeah, great soundtrack.
Hell yeah, Brooks! Did you notice this? Brooks, did you notice this? Did he catch that? He fucking caught that. Brooks, did you notice this movie had music?
I did. Surprising.
What did you think of it?
And I liked it. I like it. It is very early to mid '90s, you know, grunge / punk, you know, soundtrack. And it's very like, you know, Alice in Chains was a band I got into like in high school as well, and it was one of those bands I was like, I really like. And Got Me Wrong is like a good, I think it was a good choice for us, like rather than one of their more heavier songs, because it's just like, you know, it sets the tone for this dude coming into work and like, you know, and like, you know, how it kind of really is a good introduction for Randall's character as just this guy who's like, he's kind of a laid back guy, but he's also like a guy who likes to fuck with people and be a dick for no reason. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of good songs on this. Like, you know, the Berserker song I really like because like you hear this dude like, you know, freestyling it, and then all of a sudden, like later on in the movie, you hear the actual version with like the middle guitar, like for you is taking and so yeah, I think it's a good soundtrack. Like.
Yeah.
Especially from, I guess, like surprising. I think the Alice in Chains song is like the most surprising one because it's like one of the most. It's definitely the most recognizable song, I think.
Yeah, and also nobody mentioned this, but Bad Religion is on there, Leaders and Followers, which is a great use of that in the movie. There are a couple of covers I really like. They did Shooting Star by Golden Smog, covering Bad Company, and they cover Fleetwood Mac, Go Your Own Way. Seaweed does that. Yeah, and I really like those because obviously those covers are probably cheaper than the Fleetwood Mac and Bad Company versions. All right, so what's the movie trying to say? Kevin Smith making a crude, rude day in the life comedy, but at the same time, he is trying to say something. What do you pick up, Jelani? What's this movie saying to you?
Take a hold of your life, or life will take a hold of you. It's just that don't go back to my don't be lazy. I was right. It's something about Dante and Randall about how they've decided to be complacent in their lives, and this is how they decided to treat it. You know, Dante is just complacent. He's still kind of he's a pushover to me, and he should be able. And they are self-inflicted wounds, like you said, John. But it's like he needs to just take a hold of it and make sure, you know, the whole time Veronica's like, maybe you should go back to school and, you know, go back and do something better with your life, you know, because she wants more out of him. She wants to be with him and work this portion out with him, but he's like not willing to try. He's 22. He lives at his mom's house. He's got this little nothing job, and that's all he wants. And when you want nothing out of life, you know, it's going to pretty much make your demeanor the way it is. It was that 90s slacker culture anyway. We were all in it in some form or fashion. But that's how we were in a lot of levels. I was a slacker myself, you know, for a long time. And, you know, sometimes you got to get up and you got to get your life together. And get your shit together. Put it in the bag. I don't care what you do with it, but you got to get your shit together. And you know, and Randall is just this prick that you know just takes his anger out and his complacency out on his customers. He doesn't care about anything. You know, he rags on that lady who's like with her book or I'm sorry, not with her book, but the 2 movies she wants, and she can't decide which one's which.
God, I appreciate your ruse.
Have you seen this? Yeah. Thank you for your ruse. Yeah. Do you feel better about yourself now? It's kind of stuff like that. And, he works in a store, so I'm pretty sure if he works in a store, he's supposed to be helping her out a little bit. But it's just that slacker mentality, and if you decide to let life take you over, you'll never get anything done. The way I've seen it. Yeah, you got to make waves. Like I said before, all that crap that happened to me before has turned me into a completely different person. Just the way you have to take life by the horns, because if you don't and you sit and you wait, I've been sitting in a dark apartment with no water. I'd be like that now. So that's how I feel about it. That's me.
Hell yeah, man. Well put. Well said. And more elaborate than we did last time.
Oh yeah. Don't be lazy.
Yeah, don't be lazy. Don't be lazy. We didn't even rate the movies back then, man.
No, we didn't.
Link.
Just like, that was good.
My man Steph, The Missing Link. What do you think? What's this movie saying to you?
I tie into what Jelani saying, like, don't be lazy, but be accountable. Dante throughout the movie was not happy with a lot of stuff going on in his life, but he kind of kept pointing the finger as to why stuff wasn't going his way or what didn't work out, instead of just admitting like he had a lot to do. He was like, said he had like self-inflicting problems pretty much, and kind of realized, I wanted to tie in with that when Jay had said the stuff about the dinner plate. Like he had just got done telling him about, like, you're pretty much an ass. You got this girl who loves you, but you're over here pining for an ex that's played you before and has no intention of being with you now. And it's pretty much, but he wanted a relationship with her just because maybe he was physically more attracted to her, but she didn't love him. It's like, you have a plate, but what's a plate if you don't have food on it? Like the food is like the love, the trust, the bond. You got to add stuff to the plate. If you just have a regular plate, it's pointless. What's a relationship without love or anything like that? So yeah. I think that and being accountable is a big message of the movie.
Fuck yeah. There's a million fine-looking women in the world, but they don't all bring you lasagna at work. Most of them
just cheat on you. Exactly. Well said.
Woo! Hammer time. What do you think this movie's trying to say? Because even 7.5 years ago, I know this isn't your favorite part of the show, but 7.5 years ago, you're like, this movie says a lot. So what does it say?
Don't have sex with dead people.
So it's just an anti-necrophilia.
Yeah, a lot of necrophilias are against this film. They protested. I think one of the things that I going back and look at, and Kevin Smith talked about this in other films, is liking somebody and getting hung up on their past sexual experiences. And that was a big thing with, he talks about Veronica. He gets hung up because he seems totally into Veronica until he hears about 37. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah.
And then he has trouble taking that in. I don't know how she took it in. 37. Yeah. So a lot of it, that's something that, I mean, yeah, they're talking about if you want to move ahead, you got to do the, you're saying you don't shit or get off the pot. Remember, Randall says it to him, and about how, oh, woe is me, and how self-created the issues or whatever. Randall's good at pushing him and moving him forward, but I think a lot of it comes back to that whole his not be able to accept Veronica's past. And Kevin Smith talks about this in other films as well. And sometimes you just got to get over that.
Chasing Amy in particular.
Chasing Amy in particular. But I would think to 37 by now, she has to be pretty fucking good.
I would imagine so.
She's a mastered that shit, I would think.
No, I'm not saying that you can't suck 37 dicks in your life. But these are 22-year-olds, and I'm just saying, okay, I get. But the fun thing about that is, he felt like the big dog when she told him she only slept with 3 people, and he's like, well, 12, and she's like, and I love the juxtaposition of that though, right? And
he's proud, yeah.
I love it. Like, going down's not a big deal, like, and it's not. It's the next.
It's like foreplay.
It's foreplay. It is what it is, man.
Anyway. Sex is a spectrum. Yeah, it's like sexuality.
We're sex positive here.
We don't kink shame. Whatever.
Right.
Whatever floats your boat, floats it, and I'm happy for you.
Yeah, this is a good segue. Now we're talking about blowjobs. Joe, what do you think?
I'll assume that this is a reference to perhaps, Joe Blow as a.
I had nothing.
Joe
I had
Blow.
nothing.
Refer to
I just
someone
work here, man. I don't know what's going on.
and
Segues are
not
not the
a.
English, are they?
Yeah, but no, I mean, it's all the stuff people have mentioned. Dante, it's even like for me watching this movie again and having seen it, I couldn't even tell you how many times.
I've seen
It's
37
times. Yeah, 30.
This could be 30. This could have been 37, but
In a row?
right. But it's a movie. Obviously the movie's about Dante, and like the themes here are he's fully rooted in the past, and anything he's going to do, if he's going to do anything, it's going to go backwards, not forwards.
Right.
Obviously, you have that with Caitlin Bree and all that, and you want to get back with her. You have him wanting to go to the funeral of like somebody went to high school, like all these things where it was like, oh, I got to do this, constantly running into people he went to high school with, who have all moved on, and every one of them he meets is like, they've moved on, they're dead. Like everyone he's meeting is like somewhere else, and it's not enough to get him. Like he's kind of, that's just like he approaches it with this like, well, that's just life. This is what you do, and this is what I'm doing, which. If, like Robbie, you watched the Snowball Effect earlier, you would know that, like Kevin Smith, when he was putting this movie together, I mean, he was coming from a background of this town he grew up in New Jersey. You either go to college, which not a lot of them did, or you get your job at a construction site, the gas station, the convenience store. That's it. There's no upward mobility. It's like you do what you can, and that's it. And if you do more than that, if you get a better lot in life, that's like luck. You lucked out. Something happened that granted you that opportunity. And Dante is at this like point in his life where that's how he's looking at it. He's like, well, this is life, and you guys, you lucked out. Something above and beyond happened for you, and that's why you're in the better position. And he's not examining himself from a point of what can I do to get out. And Randall is almost like the Tyler Durden of the movie, which again,
Randall's not real.
It was Edward the whole time.
Makes sense.
Yeah, but really, I mean, because he is the only character in the movie who is acting in a way where it's like, dude, this guy would have been killed before he got to this point. And it's like, this is the kind of guy who would have spit on or got in a fight with the wrong person when he was a teen, and like that's it. He's done. Like,
better theory. Randall is the ghost of Dante's dead best friend who got killed after spitting in someone's face.
Right? I mean, like a guy who like acts like that, working like convenience, like, no, you're dead. Like there are people who will wait outside your car and just kill it. That's just
especially in Jersey. Especially in Jersey.
Right? Yeah. Like, it's clearly not this like in a affluent neighborhood or something. Like people are gonna die
in the ghetto.
You gonna get got. Yeah.
So it's like, so what Randall is he represents the like far extremes. He represents what Dante thinks. Doing whatever you do, do whatever you do. There's no consequences. That's what Dante thinks people like that are, but they're not. Like he's got to find that happy medium, and that's at the end of the movie. It feels like after everything that's happened, fighting with Randall, it seems like he realizes maybe, it's like, don't go nearly as far as Randall, but like you have to start making those steps.
Yeah.
It's not about spitting in people's faces or like being like nasty and insulting people. Like that's going too far. But you also can't just sit there and have people like berate you, ruin your life, not respect you, have a boss and just like try to work this job where his boss straight up is just like, oh yeah, I'll be there at noon, with no intention. And he knows that Dante's such a doormat that what's he going to do? He doesn't even talk to Randall at that point about like, dude, I'm fucking walking. I'm done. Like, no, he just,
he literally says on the phone, what can I do? Then he apologizes to the person telling him the news.
Yeah.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And what was that, the whole thing? Like he like wanted to go to the bathroom when he was a kid, so he just pissed himself or some shit, or just like shit himself.
Because and like, but that's like the thing. So it's like he's not willing to stand up for himself because he thinks standing up to yourself or for yourself for anything, even like basic human dignity, makes him Randall.
Right.
And that's like his fear is, I don't want to be Randall. And but he's friends with Randall because there's this weird like sort of dynamic, because he kind of enjoys some of the antics Randall does as long as they are in no way connected to him. Like if it's like it's completely different, can't be traced to him, it's like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. But so he enjoys part of it, but it's scary. Like there's really a lot going on there.
Yeah, there really is, man. I appreciate those thoughts. That's really great. I should clip that out if I did YouTube Shorts. I should.
Yeah, go for
but
it.
we won't.
Brooks, don't do it.
Manny, if you're out there and you want to do that for us, you can. But I ain't got nothing. Brooks, what about you? What do you think this movie's trying to say?
I think this movie's a lot about the kind of the social strata, like within the working class, like because like there are like three different kind of layers of society in this movie. There's like the customers, who are like, mostly just working class people, but like who do like, who'll do kind of like more high paying middle class jobs. And then there's the clerks, who are working, basically like, for very little, but, enough to get by. Like, and like, the customers look down on the clerks. And then there's the third one, which is like, the scumbag guys who hang out outside the gas station, like the Jay and Silent Bob, who the clerks kind of look down on.
Right.
And it's like interesting, like how these people are so like not that far removed from each other really, but like they cling on to this idea that like, oh, at least I can look down on this person. Like, it's like how customers, how like when you go to a convenience store, like, and this is something that I never have done. Like I've never been a dick at a convenience store or anything like that. I've been there when people have been. And it just rubbed me the wrong way. Like when people act like that, like, they have this like they're entitled to like, person to like not just get them what they want, but to like pretend that they like it, to do it with a smile, to like, and it's like, and like when people just act out and show their ass like that, and like it's like just because they want to, vent at the expense of somebody else's day to somebody who is being basically held captive because they're at their job. They can't just walk away. They can't just like, be like, fuck you. On, They have to placate these people in a way, and like, and even the clerks, like, Dante's talking, like Jay's talking like, oh yeah, man, we should hang out sometime. He's like, yeah, no.
That would
like,
be you.
Even like the clerks have somebody that they have to look down on, and it's kind of sad because you might miss out on like relationships, that you wouldn't have expected would work out. Like sometimes somebody you really would get along with, hang out with is somebody you would never think because, there's you have some kind of idea about, like their social standing or whatever. And I think like, it's like how Randall makes the point of like status doesn't dictate behavior. It's like, it's like, yeah, I am like, a scrub who's working at a video store, but that doesn't mean I have to take these people's shit,
Right.
That's That's why I think Randall is more of the hero than Dante, because he's basically showing him like, you don't have to take this shit, dude. Like you can
stand
fight
up
back
for yourself. Yeah.
at least, and get some enjoyment out of it. Like
Right.
how he's talking about how dude came to the video store and started bitching, so I tore up his membership.
Yeah.
Power, and he's like, I gotta take it where I can get it,
You're not allowed to rent here anymore.
Yeah, like when that lady finally stormed out, like, you're banned.
Yeah.
Bye.
This job would be great if it wasn't for the customers. I've said that many times in my life.
Oh yeah.
I think I said it a few days ago. You guys have all hit the nail on the head. It's hard for me to add anything to this. So what I'll say is just what I get from it. And obviously 7.5 years ago, I got out the idea that it's up to you to change your life. Because the idea that I was getting was like he's scared to make those changes, but he's also being kind of pressured into it. But that's his perception. He's not being pressured into it. He's actually in a very lovingly he's in a very loving relationship with Veronica. Veronica is too fucking good for Dante.
Too good for Dante.
So I just want to know, I hope things worked out well for Veronica. Okay. So to me, what I'm trying to say is it is about changing your life, taking that, standing up for yourself, everything everybody talked about. But this leans in a little bit what Steph was saying. It goes back to that Silent Bob line. Silent Bob is the heart of this film. There's a million fine-looking women in the world, but they don't all bring you lasagna at work. There's a million fine-looking people in this world. There are billions of them, but they don't all bring you lasagna at work. Most of them just cheat on you. Dante is obsessed with his past, like Joe said. That's why he goes to what's-her-name's funeral, because nobody I've ever had intimate relationships with has died. That would probably trigger me in some kind of weird way. Like that's just
you're intimate with them.
Weird thought. Like
it's a weird thing. Let me tell you.
Weird experience.
Yeah, right?
Really fucking weird.
I bet. So just what you don't do then is take your jackass friend to the funeral. So he like fucking. And it's because
I was just leaning on it.
He's just leaning on it. But if you watch the last scene, he's like trying to get like it looks like he's trying to undo her blouse and shit. Like it's
like it's weird that the keys like fall into her and somehow slide under her skirt.
Yeah, he drops his keys and it goes down the corpse's skirt, like or something, and he's trying to get it, and then everybody freaks out and necrophilia.
Easy, buddy.
Yeah, this movie is very much about necrophilia. So what I'm trying to say is, yes, there is the pressure for him to better his life. But the thing is, he's not realizing that his life is better right now. He's got Veronica. He's got a roof on his head. He's so complacent with his shitty life and thinks that this is just how it is for so many reasons. But he has the out right there. It's Veronica. She would support that motherfucker for a while. And she's just trying to get him to be motivated. Right? Yeah. She's not nagging him. Like it comes across that because we're getting it from Dante's perspective. But I get the vibe that she genuinely cares about this dude because even Randall recognizes that, right? Because Caitlin doesn't, right? And like Joe said, he's transfixed with the past, wants to go back to something comfortable, something a little bit more. I don't know what it is, but he's got everything that he needs right there. He can quit his job. He didn't have to go into work. He could get something better. He can totally get something better. He's an intelligent person who has a loving partner who's there to support him. So that's what he fails to recognize. That's what he's blind to in this is sometimes we blame everything else for the shitty situations that we're in, the shitty jobs that we're in, all that kind of stuff. But sometimes what we need is right there and we don't even fucking realize it. So pay attention to the people closest to you. They're maybe not necessarily pushing you to nag you. Maybe they're pushing you because they know you can be better, because you're worth it. Be better. Be that better person. Don't be a fucking Dante, okay? Don't be fucking Dante. Don't shit yourself in school because you're afraid to ask for the fucking hall pass. Bullshit. Anyway, that's what I got. All right, time to rate the film out of 5 possible you digs. How awesome are the Cowboys doing right now? They're doing pretty good. They're shutting out the Bucs 24-0 in the third quarter. But Jelani, out of 5 you digs, and you out there in the chat, let us know. What do you give Clerks?
Oh, it's no Mallrats, so I get a 4.5. I love this movie. It's a good story. It still holds up. Every time I watch it, I've enjoyed it. It's pretty funny. It stays to its roots. Kevin Smith's kind of a hack now, but back then he really nailed it with this film. It's just it's wonderful to see a guy at the beginning. Yeah, it's kind of like the Metallica thing. Yeah, best work in the beginning, you know. And we
was a really good analogy, actually.
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
All right. So 4.5 from Jelani. What about you, Steph?
Real quick, I want to highlight a scene that I thought was hilarious. When they're driving home from the funeral and they're talking about Randall's uncle that killed himself by trying to give himself fellatio. And he's like, he's trying Dante into it the whole time. Come on, like, you wouldn't do it? There's nothing weird about that. And so, like, Dante's like, no, I wouldn't do that. And finally, Dante gives in. He's like, you know, I'd probably do it. And Randall's like, you fucking pervert. Like, it was just a great,
he's like, I can never watching like Bill Hicks on YouTube, like of his stand-up, and like he makes that joke. Like, I don't know if Kevin Smith like was inspired by that bit or whatever, but Bill Hicks makes a joke about somebody, like about, you know, if dudes could suck their own dick, you know, this room would be filled with nothing but women and looking at an empty stage. And he makes a joke about like cops finding some dude with his neck broken, like, oh, he made it.
He succeeded. He's like, so he made it, huh? He's like, yeah.
Didn't even finish. Chin. No DNA evidence.
But with that being said, I think it's not my favorite Kevin Smith film, but I think it is a very impactful film and a very strong film, especially for his debut film. I will give it a 4 out of 5. I think it's very strong.
Yeah,
but there's flaws.
All right, I can dig that. What about you, Hammer Time Holshoe?
Oh man, this is a good film. I think it holds up. I give it a 5. I think it's a phenomenal film. It's not without its flaws, but I'm willing to look over those because it's his first film. It was a budget film. It was done with his friends. And actually, to me, that's kind of endearing. You know what I'm saying? If we got together and we made a film together and it was this even half decent, I'd be pretty fucking impressed.
Yeah, me too.
So I really enjoyed it, man. I enjoyed it on the rewatch. I've probably seen it not 37 times, but I've seen it many times. And I think it's an awesome film. And I do kind of, and I feel bad for shitting on Kevin because I don't like some of his newer stuff, but I do love Clerks, and I think it holds up well. So I'll give it a 5.
All right, perfect score from John, and there's some perfect scores coming out in the chat. You out there in the chat, let us know, what do you give it out of 5 you digs? How about you, Joe?
Yeah, I mean, with everything around the movie, like kind of what I was alluding to at the beginning, like in a vacuum, if this was just a movie that we weren't talking about, you know, how much it costs, it was their first movie, it was, you know, the way it impacted everything, I wouldn't be giving it a 5, but for its cultural impact, like alone, I feel just sort of any of the other flaws, any of the facts that, you know, like it's arguably not his best film and things like that, like can kind of go to the side. And I mean, part of this might also be influenced because I did watch The Snowball Effect earlier, and it's hard to watch something like that and these early interview clips and like just knowing the story and like how it was just like, you know, like everything, like the, you know, going into debt to make this movie and the struggle it had, and like if that one review, like this is where it's all luck. Like if that one reviewer wasn't in the theater that for that initial screening, we might not be talking about any of this, like at all. Like that's just it. That's done. Maybe, you know, there's a world where that happens, and like Kevin Smith didn't pay that money back until not that long ago. Like, you know what I mean? Like there's a world where that happened, where all of these things, and it was a lot of like, it was, you know, there's that element of luck, but of course, like if the product wasn't there, it wouldn't matter. That if that journalist or reviewer was there and the movie was good, doesn't matter. So you have that stuff going on. You have all of these things, the initial, not getting the right people's attention. And then finally, after having multiple, like, sold out or near sold out screenings, getting into Sundance, this and that, and having to overcome those obstacles of, boy, you guys do sure swear a lot and things like that. I don't know. Some of the content, like, might be objectionable to some of the people, like, and getting past all that, getting it in front of the right people, launched a person who became a face of pop culture, and is arguably still a face of pop culture. It's really incredible. All of that combined, it's I have to give it a 5.
All right, yeah, another perfect score. What about you, Brooks?
Yeah, I'll give this one a 5 as well. Like, this is a movie that I just like. I just like the humor in it, and it's very, considering that it's such a movie about such a mundane subject, like convenience store clerks, and yet it still manages to not feel boring at all, or like drag, or
keeps you engaged.
I think it's a testament to how good, how well put together it is. Despite being a very rough work, but I think the roughness works it to its advantage. Really, it makes it more authentic in a way. And I hadn't watched Clerks in many years, but like watching it again is like I just love it as much as I did the first time. It holds up.
Respect.
All right, so in 2023, I'm trying to be a better reviewer, right? And not give everything a fucking 5 just because everything we're talking about is like movies I love and I want to talk about them, and I get so fucking caught up in the excitement of hanging out with y'all and talking about these fucking movies. And I'm going to look critically, but at the same time, I got to judge it on my experience. I got to judge it on what the intent is and what they were trying to do, which is the same thing as what the intent is. But honestly, I will give this one. I'm trying. I guess I'm trying to be more objective. 4.5. I'm going 4.5. Any other time in my past, I would have given it a 5. It's not perfect, but I love it. And why
someone saying it's not perfect? You can say it about every movie ever made.
Yeah, why do we say that? We need really
because Endgame exists.
It's like saying it has its flaws.
Endgame fucks up its own goddamn time travel.
Freaking Godfather. Freaking Godfather exists.
Maybe like Godfather. Yeah, maybe the Godfather 1 and 2. I don't know. There's movies that may be perfect, I think, but not.
Citizen Kane.
I might argue Chinatown. Chinatown, I think, is
Rosemary's Baby.
Rosemary's Baby. Exorcist.
I think The Exorcist 3 is a perfect film, personally.
I love The Exorcist 3.
Greatest psychological thriller of the 90s. Anyway.
So good.
Movies that exist.
We got 40 dicks from Two Gun. All right, so a 4.5 from me and from Jelani, a 4 from Link, and a 5 from everybody else here for a PCP average of 4.37. Now, I want to point this out, man. Based on average reviews from the panel and the average rating from the panels, 2 weeks into 2023, PCP Movie Night is killing Dylan's horror show right now. Okay, let's just be honest. He did They Live in Clerks. He did Terrifier 1 and 2 and Burial Ground. Dylan, better step up your fucking game, okay? Better step up your fucking game.
Blake wanted me to watch it. I was like, nah, I'm good.
Absolutely. All right. We're hitting that perfect time where the movie or the length of the review is as long as the movie is. And that seems to work because it works as like a commentary track. And I really, really like that. But before we dip out of here, Jelani, you got something coming up. It's called Tell us about it. And someone throw a link in the chat because he is so close to 100, him and Brooks. And I'm so proud of y'all, man.
Thank you.
I'm jealous that y'all got to 100 quicker than me, but it's
a pain, man. You gotta you gave us the best rule ever: consistency. And every week we will have 2 videos, and I'll put one up today. Sorry, Brooks, you weren't in it, but it was Beta Ray Bill, so I'm sorry.
Ooh.
But yeah, I'm sorry, dude. But I had to get one out, and I got it. So we're gonna get like 2 more out probably this week. We'll do Red Hulk and whatever thumbnail Manny gave me earlier. We're gonna do those 2 this week. Hopefully we'll hit 100 soon. It's 90 right now. Gosh, thank you guys so much. Everybody in the PCP Army. I know I've been putting my videos out a little too much on Facebook, but I want to make sure that we get all of this out. And I'm so happy that you guys are watching them and giving great comments too. I like the comments in the thing. Very positive.
Hell yeah.
We're going to try to keep it very positive on our end. Brooks and I work hard for these. Well, we get, drunk and high and then do videos, but it works. It works. So thanks, guys. Keep watching, and thanks a lot. Yeah.
Thank you too, Gunn. Thank you. All right, Steph, you got anything you want to talk about coming up for you, man?
No, I'll be around. Be on the panel this Saturday's Dylan Horror Show to review Misery, a good film. So he's switching it up. He stopped doing the 3 for Dylan, 1 for the audience. I think he's going to do 1 for the audience, 1 for Dylan.
No more Scarpet picks.
But I also want to say, what's a plate with no food?
A way to fuck that up.
Something like that.
Hammer Time, thank you so much for joining us. And thank you, Duffy, for subscribing to Go Figure Reviews.
Sweet. Thank you.
John, thank you for being here, man. Final thoughts?
I got nothing, man. Go check out Jelani's channel. I've watched it a little bit. I haven't really commented. I'm not really an action figures guy, but you guys, the quality has grown a lot just in a short period. And you have some cool content, man. I'm not even. You made me want to buy some action figures, to be honest with you. Shit I don't even like. Like, I like Marvel, but I wouldn't buy a Marvel figure. But some of the figures you have on there, like, it's pretty badass. I would like to see more Japanese stuff. That's my critique.
Okay.
Well, maybe you should join them for an episode.
You got some Gundams?
Maybe I'll send you some Japanese stuff.
Maybe you should join them for an episode or 2. Whole shoot.
Dude, we'll do a video with you, man. You let me know when you want to do something. Like any Kaiju. If you want to do a Kaiju review for something or anything, dog, bring it over to the house, man. We'll do it. Or I'll go to your house. I don't care.
Yeah.
It's portable.
I will straight up buy some figures that I want, and I'm going to send you duplicates so you have the same ones, and we can do a review together.
Oh, yes. Yes, let's do it.
All right, Joe. What you got coming up? I know Dahlia in the Dark in shops right now from Mad Cave Studios. Fantastic book. Y'all need to get in on it.
Thank you. Issue 2 is out this week, allegedly. I'm sure it's out. Hopefully you get it on time this time. We'll see.
I don't think we're getting it again. God damn it! It's supposed to be out this week because it wasn't on my diamond list. God damn it!
But so we'll see what happens. But yeah, that'd be great. It'd be great if people were able to get that. That'd be awesome. So I got that going on, and it's going to be 6 issues. Working on some other things right now. Also, Cherish, which I edit at Dynamite. Katana Collins and I were on your channel the other a month ago talking about that.
That was a great conversation. Great conversation.
Thank you. Yeah, no, that was fun. So, issue 3 of that I think is also out this week.
Yeah, I believe so. Right? Yeah.
Yeah. So that's coming along like comics wise. Working on writing and editing some more stuff. I think coming up. I think it's in previews now. Is the Carmen line, which is a graphic novel I edited for Mad Cave by Dennis Hopeless and Pietro Kowalski with Brad Simpson on the colors.
Oh, that's a great team.
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun with that. It's like a thriller set on a space station. It's really good stuff. It's my wheelhouse kind of thing. So I hope people check that out as well.
Hell yeah. And Joe's also going to be joining us on Thursday night. We're doing a live stream to be talking about this new PBS documentary called No Straight Lines.
Yes. It's good. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, that's I watched that and it's really good, y'all. So we're going to pump you up on this documentary that comes out on the 23rd, I believe, on PBS.
Yes.
Yeah, very deservedly so. That's a fun show. Brooks, thank you for being here, man. What are your final thoughts? Be profound.
My love for y'all is like a truck, berserker. Would you like to make him fuck, berserker?
That leads into my final thought. Did he just say making fuck? So Saturday night, Dylan's Horror Show, Misery. We're finally doing a good fucking movie. I'm so excited. Jesus Christ.
Oh, sorry, it's still funny to me.
I'm so excited, man. Like, Burial Ground was rough. Y'all watch that. Even if you've never seen Burial Ground, just watch Dylan's Horror Show. You're going to fucking love it, man. You're going to love that show in particular. And next week, I was thinking about the lineup for 2023, and I realized that we've never done a movie review of any film from one of my favorite directors from New York, Martin Scorsese. So I was like, well, for the first Martin Scorsese movie we do, let's do something light, especially coming off of Clerks. Before we get to Surf Ninjas, we're doing Taxi Driver. So next week, join us for Taxi Driver. Very excited. Very excited for that.
You're in a hell.
Misery on Saturday, and the next Monday, Taxi Driver. We're dipping out, and thank you guys so much. Thank you, panel. Thank you, audience. Thank you, chat. It's the same thing. Thank you, Cowboys. Cowboys have made me feel really good today.
How about them Cowboys?
Yeah, how fucking about them? And what's one more line I can use from Clerks? That's beautiful. No, we already did that one. Jedi's just a bunch of Muppets. It's true. That's true.
It's true.